Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a kind of quick overview versus battle between these two eyeshadow palettes. I have both of them now, so I wanted to compare the difference between the Too Faced Gingerbread palette and the Too Faced Gingerbread Extra Spicy palette. The Gingerbread looks a bit like this, and the Gingerbread Extra Spicy looks a bit like this. Now first off, you can tell straight away that the Extra Spicy, in terms of the oranges, the browns, all that, is toned down they're more like orange and peach compared to the original Gingerbread palette, which is more red, pink, kind of warm brown kind of situation going on here. And then these are very golden. And again, we look at the Extra Spicy, and the Extra Spicy is definitely way more peach and orange, with the exception of this black and blue here. Now, on camera, and in all of their photos, this is like a blue, but when you actually swatch it, it's definitely a kind of blackened blue. You can see it, the closer I get to the camera, the better you can see it. And let me swatch it for you. I will go ahead and do close-up swatches of each one of these palettes and compare them side by side, but that is definitely a blackened blue rather than a blue. I wanted to show you that first, because that is one of the shades I find that is misrepresented in terms of people taking photos of swatches and things like that. Obviously they've been using filters and that kind of thing, and it does change the colour of the eye and the saturation of the eyeshadows. But yes, sorry, I was just wiping that blue off my hand before I forgot. So if we hold them up together, you can see what I mean in terms of like the different tones between the two palettes. Sorry if the mirror is going to annoy you, but yes. Okay, so this is what they look like together. Again, you can see this one here is the original, and it's more greens, golds, pinks, purples, all that. And this one is more orange and peachy. I mean, they go very well together. In reality, what they needed to do was have half of these shades in this palette and half of these shades in this palette to make this one more appealing. Like, this one has enough variety, whereas this one is just plain peach and orange. If they took some of these shades and put it in here, then they'd both have variety. And I think that that's what some people are put off about the new one, in terms of like, all these eyeshadows are very run-of-the-mill, dupable orange peaches, which was the fashion a little while ago as opposed to right now. So they've already had their fill of orangey peaches eyeshadows. In terms of quality, the quality is there. What's different about the Gingerbread Extra Spicy is this shade here, which I don't think is in the... Yeah, okay, so this shade here, Candy Queen, is a kind of glitter eyeshadow. It's not a pressed pigment or a metallic eyeshadow. It's definitely a pressed glitter. And I find I enjoy that about the Too Faced eyeshadows. I like that they're doing that, because Revolution are also doing that now, putting pressed glitters in the eyeshadow palettes, and a lot of other brands are, and I love pressed glitters, so I'm really happy about that. But if you don't like pressed glitters and you much prefer mattes, then again, it's not the palette for you. Another thing that they've done is, in the Palm Springs, they've done the same thing. Two of these shadows, these two pinks, this one and that one, are also pressed glitters. So, and I loved that about this palette, so I'm really happy that they did that with the Gingerbread palette, because it continues the theme of where they're trying to go with their eyeshadows, and I'm not mad at it. So that's in terms of like the overview and what the quality is like. I mean, the mattes are Too Faced mattes, they're amazing. The shimmers are Too Faced shimmers, they're amazing. The Too Faced eyeshadows are some of the best eyeshadows I've ever had. And the Extra Spicy and the original Gingerbread are exactly the same in terms of longevity, quality, pigment, it's all there. It's just, in terms of shade range, do you necessarily need this many peaches? Or I would definitely get the original Gingerbread over the Extra Spicy if you have neither. But if you can only get one or the other, then they are both incredible palettes. That's just my opinion. I'm not wearing them on my eyes today. I probably should have done, but I was trying something new today and it was a little bit fun. You'll see that video in a later video. And this isn't a too much in detailed review, because I wanted to just look at them together rather than give a review of like, oh, it's been on for 10 hours and it's still there. It's not that kind of a review. It's just an overview of like which one's better. In my opinion, this one, just because of the shade range, not because of quality reasons. In terms of like the Gingerbread Extra Spicy, there is stuff that I enjoy. For example, that pressed glitter is incredible. The scent in the Extra Spicy is actually nicer than the original Gingerbread as well. It's more vanilla-y, whereas the ginger one is more cinnamony, which is a bit weird. This one smells like gingerbread, this one smells like Christmas. So whichever is your preference, I guess. But yes. Now, I'm going to go and I'll put in a video at the end of this video and just go through the swatches, and I will do one on one arm and one on the other arm. And I will put down the same primer on both. And the eyeshadow primer that I have is this one. This is the Lorac Cosmetics Behind the Seams Eye Primer. It's just the standard one that comes with the unzipped palettes. I'm going to put that on both arms, and then we'll see the actual quality of the shadows as that's being swatched. Okay, so I've had to put you upside down because that's the only way my tripod will go. But yes, I'm just using the Lorac eyeshadow primer. Just put a little bit on, and I'm just going to put that all over my forearm there, just so that we can get an idea of like how they swatch in terms of like using them with the primer. And the first one I'm going to do is the one that came first, so the original Gingerbread. And this is what it looks like. So first things first. Can we see that? Yes, that's fine. So powdered sugar is a cream matte. That's what that one looks like. Which doesn't really show up on my skin tone, obviously, because we're pretty much the same shade. But you can kind of see it. And then there's Frostbite Me, which is a shimmery, it's quite crumbly, white shimmer. Actually, it's kind of off-white, it's kind of creamy, but it's also kind of pink. I don't know if you can see that on the skin. I mean, in the camera it looks white, but it's not. Like, if you look closer, it's definitely got a pink shimmer to it. Sorry about my veins, by the way. I don't know why they're poking out so much, but yeah. I'm trying to swatch this with dry fingers instead of wet fingers. There's Sugar Daddy, which is a matte baby pink shade. That's what that one looks like. All of these pale shades take some working to show up on my skin, but just because I'm that pale that they're basically the same tone as my skin. Spiked Eggnog is a beautiful champagne gold shimmer, and that swatches amazingly. Looky at My Cookie is a mid-toned pink matte. It's kind of peachy, actually. It looks more peach on camera than it does in person. It's definitely more pink than peach, but on camera it looks very peach. There's Figgy Pudding, which is a warm-toned pinky purple. It's kind of like a maroon type purple. That's what that one looks like. Like a burgundy type purple. It's definitely more purple than red. And again, it's showing up as red on the camera. But I think that's going to be the theme here, is we're going to see these shades as more red toned than they actually are in person. Gumdrop is this one here, which is a bright fuchsia pink. And again, this one's going to look slightly more red on camera than it does in person, but actually that's kind of true to how it is in person. Ever so slightly more red on the camera, but it's kind of almost there. Then we have Spice is Nice, and Spice is Nice is definitely a terracotta orange brown. And that shows up as more orange on the camera than it does in person. It's definitely more burnt in person. Hot Toddy is this kind of red to green duochrome kind of red to greeny gold kind of duochromey shade. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, if it's picking it up at all. But yes, I mean it kind of is. That's what that one looks like. You can definitely see that when I swatch it on my arm. Like if I look down at my arm, it's definitely pink, whereas if you look on the camera, it's definitely orange. And that's the duochrome effect that's happening there. You can kind of see it as it catches the light, the pink to the orange. That's one thing that I did notice about the Gingerbread Extra Spicy, is I don't think there is a duochrome in that palette. Then we have Gingerbread here, which is just a warm-toned brown. Again, it's a matte shade. The Too Faced mattes, they don't swatch too great, but they're really pigmented, like really pigmented. And they definitely blend out a lot better than they have done here. I'm just trying to tidy that up so that the colours are definitely separated. These are the worst swatches you will ever see in your life. Oh Snap is kind of a cookie brown. It's like very light brown, but it has like a gold shimmer in it. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if my camera is even in focus at this point, but there we are. And what I like about this one is the gold shimmer actually transfers onto the skin, whereas a lot of their mattes that have shimmer in, the shimmer doesn't actually go onto the skin. Reindeer Paws is a kind of chocolate brown colour, and that's what that one looks like. Again, it kind of looks patchy, but that's just because of the way it's been swatched on my skin. I'm not the best swatcher in the world. That's a little bit better. I'm running out of arm space, so I'm going to try and go between, so like trying to go here and here. So it won't be in order in terms of the palette, but I'm just trying to save arm space here. And my palette looks filthy because of fallout, which again is just the way I swatch and not anything to do with the palette. There's this one here, where my finger is over here, and this is Warm and Toasty. This is a kind of yellow, very warm gold. And it's almost a duochrome to orange, but it's not quite an official duochrome. That's that one. Bake It Till You Make It is a copper bronze. All of the shimmers in this palette swatch amazingly. And I'm just going to go up here now. Sorry that my arm is not long enough. And Gingerbread Latte is a warm mustard chocolatey brown shade. It's very crumbly, and I don't think that has anything to do with my swatch. I think it has more to do with the top of the shadow, because when I swatched it just then it wasn't as crumbly. But that's that one there. And my swatches are so messy now because of that crumble from the... And then there's Ooh Burn, which is on the far... this one here. And that is a shimmery purple shade. And that's what that one looks like. There is a slight duochrome to that one as well. There's a Spice of Life, which is this one here, which is an olive-toned gold. And that looks way more green on camera than it does in person. It's definitely an old gold, and like an antique gold shade. And the last one is Spiced Rum, and Spiced Rum again is really crumbly, but that is like a glittery chocolate. Actually, that might be... No, it's definitely not a glitter. It's definitely a pigment. It's just super crumbly and super... It's soft, but it's very difficult to work with in terms of like fallout and crumbles and things. Why can't I... And that's that one there. So, that was the original Gingerbread. So I'm having to hold my camera because it wouldn't zoom out any further. But that is the original Gingerbread from Too Faced. Some really good shades there. But as we were swatching it, we did notice some fallout. And you can see my table here is definitely covered in something, which it was clean before, so... But whether or not that's me swatching them, because I am quite mean when it comes to eyeshadows and swatching, or whether or not it's actual fallout, I can't comment on, because when I put it on my eyes, I didn't notice any fallout. So it might just be how I've worked with it with my fingers. And I'm just going to use the other arm for the other palette with the primer. And here's the extra spicy. And I'm just going to do the same thing. Starting, let's put that there. Starting at this end, where my finger is, down by here. Hello. Starting here, we have Vanilla Wafers, which is the cream shade, which definitely shows up on my skin a little bit better, but that's because this one is warm toned, and the other one was ever so slightly cool toned. So the cool toned one blended in better with my skin. This one stands out a bit more because it is more yellow toned. And my computer's going again, really sorry about that. Lick the Spoon is a beautiful, almost champagne gold, but it's more gold than champagne. and it's quite orange in terms of like when you swatch it. It's very peachy. Sorry. Just trying to keep this as tidy as I possibly can. Then there's Plenty of Dough, which is a peachy brown and is matte, this one. My skin is slightly damp, so if it doesn't swatch very well, that's why. Then we have Cookie Cutter, and Cookie Cutter is basically one shade darker than Lick the Spoon. It's that warm-toned peachy gold. When I think of peachy gold, I think of Luscious from the Sweet Peach palette. I don't consider these peaches really, but that's definitely what it is. It's definitely a peachy gold. And then we have Spicy Mummy, and this one is a very red, rusty copper shade. And this one is, it looks to be like, this one is a combination between a shimmer shadow and a glitter. It's not a full glitter, but it's not as soft as pressed pigments are. It's definitely very dry and very flaky, like a glitter would be. Then we have Candy Queen, which is just a pure glitter. You can tell that from the swatch on my finger here. The pigment, the way it's sitting on my finger, and the way it swatches, there's very patchy. Definitely a pure glitter. That's that one. I do enjoy the glitters in this, but you can see already how very orange and peach this palette is. Like the other one had a little bit of variety to it, whereas this one definitely does not. We have Soft and Sweet, which is a beautifully soft matte, and it is a kind of, again, that burnt orange peachy kind of. That's a lot more pink in person than it is on the camera. It definitely looks more peach on the camera, but there is definitely a pink. Don't get me wrong, it is peach, but it's more pink than it looks on the camera. Then we have Extra Spicy. Extra Spicy is just a plain burnt orange. There's nothing I can say about that. Again, it's a matte eyeshadow, but interestingly, again, in the swatches, it looks very pink. Then we have, I'm going to have to be real quick with this because I've got like no storage left on my camera. We have Gingerbread Glam, which is a warm-toned brown, just a matte. We have For the Gram, which is probably For the Gram, which is the American pronunciation of that. And this one is a kind of nutty warm brown with gold shimmer in it, but the shimmer does not transfer onto the skin. It's just literally in the pan. And then we'll do, oh, sorry, knocked the camera. We'll do like along here now. So we have Half Baked, which is a very, very orange gold. That's very copper. We have Hot Tamale, which is a red, but it's kind of like a purpley red, I guess is the easiest way to explain it. My camera is literally counting down the seconds. And that's what, oh, that doesn't swatch very well. That doesn't swatch very well at all. Let's try here. No, that one doesn't want to swatch at all. So that's interesting to note. There's In a Pinch, which is this one here. I'm not going to get this done before my camera dies again. And that's what that one looks like. And that's that one there. Okay, so I deleted some stuff from my camera, and now we have like 6 minutes to get the rest of this done. So, let's get rid of this one. So, we have Butterscotch, which, as I said, is like a straight up orange. And that's what that one looks like. That one swatches better than the red one, and my skin is wet. I don't understand why that red one didn't want to swatch at all. But yeah, there's that one. I'm slowly running out of room on my arm. We'll go here. And we have Cinnamon, which is a burnt orange brown. Again, it's a matte. I know these descriptions are pretty much all the same, but this palette is very samey in terms of like its color range. And then we have Drizzle It, which is this shade here, which is a bronze, I guess. Again, my colour descriptions are basically entirely the same because this palette is entirely the same. And then we have Cookie Call. Let's just clean off my swatch fingers, dry them off. Cookie Call is this one here, which has other colours mixed in it because I used it to mix in with something, but as soon as we swatch it, it will go. There we go. And this one is a very dark, very warm brown. And that's that one there. Let's do a better job, Claire. That's that one there. My swatching is atrocious, but that red, we'll try again in a minute. When my arms are clean, we will try again and see if we can swatch this red. And then the last one is Midnight Snack, and it's the only different one in the entire palette, and it is this black shade with blue glitter in it. It's definitely not a bright blue, but it is a beautiful shade nonetheless. You can see there where I pull the swatch thin, it's definitely a black eyeshadow. But the blue glitter does show up on the skin, so it's not just a plain black eyeshadow, which is quite nice. I'm not sure when I'd use that in terms of like an actual eyeshadow rather than in the waterline, not in the waterline, on the lower lash line. But yes, that's that. So I'm going to have to do the camera lifting thing again. So that is the extra spicy. And as I said in the introduction and while I was swatching, you can tell straight away that basically all of these shades are exactly the same. And it is just a warm toned orange palette. I'm going to clean off my arm and see if we can get that red. Oh, let's see if we can do a comparison side by side. How many? So this one here is the original and it's definitely more red tones, different shades. There's that greeny gold there, and the extra spicy, which is this one, is just a bunch of warm tone orange bronzy shades. Which is a shame in terms of like if you buy this one and that's all you get, but I have both so I can mix them two together and I definitely think that they pair well that way. Some of them swatched better than others, I must admit. Like this red one, we're going to try that one again. Because I don't know what happened there, but that's not a swatch. In terms of like swatch quality, the original definitely swatched better, but in terms of on the eyes, they both perform exactly the same. Granted, I haven't tried every single shade in both palettes, but the ones that I have tried I was pretty impressed with. So look at this, it's filthy. Okay, so my arms are clean. They're a little bit damp, so we'll just wait for them for a second to dry. And I want to swatch this one, which is the red one, which was really bad, and Butterscotch again, because Butterscotch was kind of, I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't too great. It was kind of a little bit patchy. For some reason, my camera doesn't want to focus. Can we focus, please? Thank you. And I'll put the primer down again, because then it's fair. And let's face it, I'm not going to use up an eyeshadow primer any other way. Okay, so we are primed and we are swatching Hot Tamale. There we are. It's because I changed my camera, the angle of my camera, to show the two. I lost where we were for a second then. So that's what that one looks like. And it is swatching a little bit better. Maybe it was just my arm being weird. Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's not the best swatch in the world, and it is kind of patchy, but it's better than it was, and I'm happy with that. And Butterscotch, again, had that weird patchiness to it. And again, I was over by here, but the camera is actually here. And it's kind of more orange. Definitely more orange. And again, this one's swatching fine. So obviously, it was just something that I'd done with that side of my arm. Maybe because it didn't have the primer, but they're swatching fine now, so I'm happy that that was the outcome. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to go now, and I will see you very soon. Bye!